What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal.
I pronounce you.
Bye, wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figure it out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, everybody. It's raining out. I don't know what it's like in New York City. I suppose we can ask Tamara that when we get her on the line. But hi, folks. It's me. It's 1:30 in the afternoon. I know, surprise, surprise, right? We originally had scheduled Tamara for a little later. But apparently, she's got some very serious and important plans. So I'm so excited to get to talk to her. Model, actress, beautiful, beautiful young woman with so much potential, so much to look forward to. Real quickly, because I know that she's been very graciously waiting for us, I want to remind everybody of our other 2 shows this week. Tomorrow, Sam Spearon is who we're featuring 3 o'clock Central Standard Time. Sam is both a Chicago plastic surgeon as well as he goes by a different name, and you're going to find all that out tomorrow. Huge on charity, huge on music, huge on the Billboard charts. I'm so excited to interview this guy. I can't even stand it. And then, so that will be 3 o'clock Central Standard Time tomorrow. Then September 9th, we have Rashid Stevens, and he's going to be 1 o'clock Central Standard Time. I should say real quickly, thank you so much to publicist Josh Mitchell for both of these interviews. These are both of his clients. And more importantly, just to let everybody know, Rashid is LA-based, and he is also an actor and works with the production company as well as a stand-up comedian. So I'm very excited and proud to be hosting them. So without further ado, because poor Tamara's been waiting for 5 whole minutes already, let's get her on the show and start talking. Tamara.
Hello, hello, hello.
She's on my show. I can't believe it. Last time I saw this pretty little girl, she was standing next to John Gallagher. So cute, so tiny. All I was thinking was, oh, my God, she has a beautiful kick-ass dress, and she's about 20 pounds thinner than me. I hate her, but I love her. That's what happens when you get to be double your age, darling. This is what happens. We get older, we get fatter, and I get more self-conscious. But you look great. I've been creeping on you, so I know lots of things about you. You're quite welcome. There's a lot of ground to cover, and I know that you have a lot to do. And apparently, John Gallagher's listening. So now I'm like super nervous, way nervous because the boss listens. Well, you know what that's like when the boss is listening. You're like, oh boy, don't want to say anything like naughty or bad or whatever. How's he doing, by the way? Well, let's do a check on John Gallagher. Is he doing okay?
John is doing great right now. I mean, John is just really, like, his health is great. He has a lot of projects coming up. Yeah, he has a lot of projects coming up, and that's going to be really exciting. We've got a very busy year coming up. So, I mean, we're all just very excited.
I can see that. I mean, and as I'm looking and looking and looking, and we're going to be talking about this, obviously, all these various different projects today. And, of course, we're going to be doing solicitous self-promotion for you and John Gallagher and Steve Stanulis and all of my friends in New York City because it's my show and I can. But I've been watching that. And, obviously, of course, John, if you are listening in, you already know that I'm highly, highly concerned about you, your physical and your mental well-being, of course, because I think he is, well, I'm sure he told you I interviewed him, and he's way up there on my list of favorite people in the entire world. He's just so amazing. I'm sure I'm not telling you. Right? I mean, he's probably one of the most amazing people.
He definitely is. I mean, John has been just, like, such an incredibly important part in my life right now, and he is just a really great person, like, all around, especially, like, in this industry, for the standards of this industry and being in the position he is. He is just, like, incredibly, like, just a good person. And, like, I'm very thankful. I think everybody's very thankful that works with him.
Right. No, and I agree with you 100%. And what's funny is, to the people, the listening audience, of course, to those that don't know John Gallagher, I mean, I could spend another hour just talking about every accolade on his resume, but long story short, he is hands down the most innovative and creative and intelligent, in my opinion, and most humble director that there are. He's very, very not, you know, he doesn't take all that praise very well. He's kind of like, oh, I'm just this guy and I'm out doing my thing and it's just so amazing. And he's a miracle, you know, he's alive and well and breathing. And I, for one, am just so elated. Oh my gosh. But enough about John, because John's had his own show. So let's talk about Tamara. First of all, I'm not a village idiot. So explain to me, it's Tamara Skylar Jones. So I was curious. Okay, either that's her middle name, that was a former name, but I'm like, that's a really cool 3 name. So where does the 3 name come from? Is there a significance to that?
Thank you. Well, yeah, I mean, Tamara Skylar Jones, it came from, well, okay, so my name is Tamara Jones, but my middle name is Sharon, and a while back, my manager was like, that name is registered in SAG, and you're going to be joining SAG soon, so what do you want to change it to? And it took me so long, but then my manager was like, how about this? You remind me of a small bird, and there's a small bird. There's a small bird called the skylark. So I guess from there we came up with Skylar, and since then it's been Tamara Skylar Jones.
Oh, look at that. That's cute, though. You know what I mean? And the only reason I say that is because, do you Google yourself? Because I Googled you. Do you know how many of you are out there? First of all, they're not all black. Okay, just so you people know, she is African American. So then, first of all, I'm like, oh, here's a hint. That can't be her because she's white. So I'm like, okay, that's not her.
Yes.
But there's a bunch. There's a bunch of them out there. Have you Google yourself? You'll see what I mean. There's a ton of you.
There really,
well, not you,
but there really are. I could tell, like, from when I was registering with SAG, there was a lot of, like, Tamara Jones, like, everywhere. And I was just like, I never knew this. I never knew this.
Well, you have to establish yourself, apparently, is different. And you are certainly different on your own. But, I mean, just apparently you have a very common name. I guess maybe it's the Jones thing. We don't know. All I know is you're very
it might be the Jones thing.
Yeah, it's the Jones thing. So there you go. Okay, so little Tamara, she's a whole of 25 years old, if you can believe that. So she's very young, obviously. I'm gathering that you started your career young. So most oftentimes when people listen to the show, they want to know this, which is, formal training, formal education, lack of formal training. Some of the best actors we know out there have only had, a day or two in the theater, which we'll talk about your experience. But just talk about how your education molded you, or lack of education at some points molded you to a point where you are now as a working actor.
Well, that's a really good question. I think that it's a little bit of both, a little bit of getting a little bit of education over here and not having the education over there. I went to college for biology, actually, and when I did start to go, I remember talking to one of my professors, and I was like, I actually have a dream to become an actress, and this is kind of like depressing, this whole, my whole college experience. And he told me, like, he is someone who grew up wanting to be in show business and wanting that dream, but he ended up being a teacher, and he regretted it every single day. And so he told me, like, if you want your dream, I know. It was so strange because I'm like, it was really just a random conversation, but he told me if I wanted my dreams, that I need to go for my dreams because I will definitely regret it. So from there, I left. I left Philadelphia I was about 18, 19 at the time, and I moved to New York, and I took classes with acting coaches. That's basically the gist of the acting experience I have. I've had a lot of one-on-one with different acting coaches, such as Melvin Williams and Pete Mataliano, both of which have worked with huge star names. And I was lucky enough to get into their classes and be able to work with them. So that's about all that I'm as far as the education goes. But I know I really like to learn most from experience. So being on set, watching actors and all that has been my greatest education.
Well, and that poses to bring to mind, because I know you didn't quite mention it, but if memory serves me correctly, you have taken John's class as well. And because I have not sat in, talk to me a little bit about his method, his process in terms of teaching, and what do you find that you took away from, the one component you took away from his class that you didn't from another educator that has stuck with you?
Oh, wow, John's class, that is actually it's really good that you brought that up. John's class is actually really amazing. It's just very wacky and fun, and it's full of fun activities that just allow you to relax. Like when you're doing this job, you're doing your dream, you're doing something you love, and so why not be relaxed? And I think that throughout his class, that's really what he kept drilling into people, is that have fun and be relaxed, and like giving us different ways of how to be relaxed. And he also does a lot of improv, which is like great because it allows you to dig into your own creative your own creative aspect of yourself. So that might be the thing that really set him aside from a lot of acting coaches, is that he really focuses on you being you and bringing yourself out instead of you trying to aspire to be like somebody else. And that was really great.
Nice, very nice. Now, just out of curiosity, and I know he's going to kill me for asking this, but you'll give me a fair estimate here. In your opinion, better teacher, better writer? Better teacher, writer, director. There's about 17 of his titles. So let's go with the two big ones, because he does a lot of educating and he does a lot of directing. That's what I mean to say. So just you yourself, do you find that he is most effective in one versus the other? Do you find it to be equal? I'm just curious, because I would like to sit in on this class eventually.
What's interesting about John and all of his many hats is that there is a common method to every hat that he puts on. When he's writing, he has like this very go easy type of cloud above him, and when he's teaching, he has the same thing, as well as directing. I love him in all of his hats, but I love him. It's hard between directing and writing, because when you read his story, you're exploring John's mind, and there's nothing more exciting. But when, it's just really, he's got, you said yourself, he's just, his brain is like an encyclopedia. That's what I keep telling him. Is like, you're like my, movie encyclopedia. But, when he directs, he's almost like, it's still like he's teaching. So he's always, he brings the same method to everything he does. I think that he's very all around, pretty much the same in all of the things that he does.
Gotcha. I see what you mean. Okay, so we've talked about the education component of things as far as that goes. So now, question for you. Obviously, of course, you are younger. You're not one of the older breeds as of yet. So first starting out, you've obviously got your home base in terms of your parents, etc. Are your parents creatives? And more importantly, are they, some parents I hear from actors and actresses are like, oh my God, you got to get a side job. You know why? Because everybody's an actor and actress. You don't know if you're going to make it. So on one side of the fence, sometimes your family can be very, very supportive. And on the other side of the fence, they might be like, you need to get yourself a real job, so to speak. You know what I mean? So has your family played a part in kind of formulating the person that you are in terms of what you do professionally? Or was that more of a, I'm just going to New York?
Oh, no. My family, I grew up in a single-parent home with my mom, and I think that, with her, I'm also an only child, so she really did focus on me allowing myself to bloom into whatever I wanted to become. So my mom has been very supportive. My whole family, I was raised by all of her sisters as well, all of my aunts and like my uncles. So they've all been so supportive, and that has been so critical in my drive, because without them just always like cheering me on and telling me good job, even though something barely happened. But they've always been there and been supportive. So I really have been lucky in that regard.
Now, because of that, I guess I'm picturing, because I know, a lot of times often I'm a single parent myself. So one of the things I taught my children was how to handle themselves, how to keep a good grip on themselves in terms of publicly, and personally, et cetera. So, you're around some heavy hitters right now at a young age. So do you ever bolt to that, find yourself a bit intimidated, a little just questioning, hey, am I going to be able to handle this? Because it's a lot of pressure for a young woman in this industry especially.
Yeah, it definitely has crossed my mind multiple times. Like, oh my God, it's almost like when you are on a roller coaster and that peak before you're about to plummet to the ground, you get that type of unsure feeling. I get that a lot. I feel like a lot of females in this industry will have that at some point in their at some point in their career where they are unsure, if this is the right decision. And I think every time I really have one of those type of breakdowns, I end up finding, opening another path for myself that broadens my initial goal. So I think one thing that I definitely feel like I'm ready. There's a lot of times I meet, big industry people, and I'm just like a little intimidated, but with the support that I have from like John and the whole family that's behind John and my own family and my own, group of acting friends, I feel like no matter what happens, no matter what comes my way, I'm going to be ready. So that's been great.
Well, the thing that I find that's versatile about you, and folks, if you don't know this, obviously, you're a friend to both the front of the camera and the back of the camera. And so I was trying to figure out, you've done script supervision, you've done a multitude of other things. Are you most comfortable standing in front of a camera? Because if I were to venture to guess, I'm wondering if it's a no.
Well, that's a great question, actually.
Thank you.
Recently, I probably in the last year or two, I have become comfortable in multiple hats as well. I used to just think I've only wanted to be in front of the camera and that's all I wanted to do. And then I tried, being behind the camera, and I did a couple of jobs behind there, and I'm like, oh, I love this. Like, I love all the different, sides of the camera. And so now I've, I've been writing. I'm currently working on a cartoon series that's in development right now. So I've picked up writing, and I love directing. I definitely am shadowing John Gallagher, and I'm shadowing Vincent Pastore, who's also a director.
Nice.
And they've both just they teach me so much. John especially just teaches me like a lot with film. And I think now I'm finding that I like it all. I really do like it all. I'm comfortable in front of the camera. I'm comfortable behind the camera. I'm comfortable to the side of the camera. It's just, I love everything about it. So I'm
You're
glad.
just comfortable with that camera, period. Let's just put it that way. Camera's just comfortable. Camera comfortable. That's what we're going to call her. She's the camera comfortable chick. That's what we're going to say.
Yes.
And I saw that you were working with one of my hands down, besides John, of course. Mr. Stanulus has to be hands down one of my favorite men, period. Period. I can't say enough about Mr. Stanulus. Hi, Steve Stanulus. I just talked to him not so long ago. Mr. Stanulus has Stanulus Productions, by the way, the networker amongst 50,000 other films that he's conglomerated with John Gallagher. So talk to me a little bit about that experience, because that's something relative with the Kardashian thing, right? So we don't want to talk about it too much because, well, I'm not a Kardashian fan. Yeah, I said it. That's right. I don't like her, but whatever. So, styles. Let's talk styles a minute. Does it matter? Like, for instance, Steve Stanulus. You might be shadowing him, and you'll notice right off the bat that the way he does things is not ironclad. Like, I see a distinct difference between him and John Gallagher. So talk to me a little bit about how it affects, and this is to people that are listening and that might be acting or wanting to get into acting. How crucial is it that you work with a director that parallels your acting style? And by that I mean sometimes people work with directors where they just can't connect to them. Do you know what I mean? So do you see a difference?
Yeah.
Does it make a difference if you work with director A versus director B, and how does that affect your performance? Okay, go.
So I think that working with a director that definitely understands your own vision and is on the same wavelength as you,
sure.
I think that's just absolute gold. I mean, you're never going to get a set that's better than that where you have a lot of chemistry between the director and between the actors. But working with Steve, for example, Steve is very much so he's like a wonderful, exciting ride type of person, because you just never know what's going to happen. Like, he doesn't, he's just like, 1, 2, 3, go. And you're just like, ugh, like you don't know what to do. So sometimes he's just very exciting and very off the books. That's the type of director and producer he is. And I think that's also very important, because it challenges you. Even though it might not be what you're used to or what you're most comfortable with, it seems crucial once you're done. You're like, wow, I did it, and I'm happy, and like that guy is great anyway. So it's been, I think, if you're an actor, you happen to you're worried about like coming across a director that you don't get along with, or that you don't understand as much as you would another director that you love, I say go for it anyway and never back down, because there's always something to learn. So go for it.
Well, I mean, and like I'm saying too, oftentimes, like if you look, for instance, like if you're standing next to Steve, and I've been around him, and the energy and just, to me, and I've seen him act, and I've written about his acting style, and I think the acting and the directing both hand in hand. He's very, very high energy. John's a very seasoned person who's been doing this for a long time. So I do think that sometimes what they teach you on a set and how they direct you and is a direct parallel of the person they are on the inside, which makes you kind of evaluate who you are on the inside as far as an actor. Make sense? At least that's just my take on it. But I'm not an actor. What the hell do I know? I'm a writer. I'm just trying to get into this whole little world here.
You definitely did get it. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Well, right, and that's just it. And the other thing that I wanted to ask about, too, because you are younger, of course, you're finding your opportunities in independent film, and nowadays independent film is a big thing, as we're all finding out. So my question to you is this. Are you finding now more opportunities out there? Because obviously indie film is reliant upon the support of oftentimes many other people. Is it ripe and rich enough to where the younger generation like yourself is going to be able to stay a working actor or actress, or do you think that you're going to have to utilize other outlets like the theater outlet and other things? Make sense?
Yeah, I definitely, the independent film industry, I'm very young and I'm still learning every single day. Sure. But I've found that because of the widespread of the internet media that's been able to connect everybody in the world to this one platform, I feel like independent films have risen to an all-new, all-time high for a lot of people. So independent film is actually it's a very great market to get into. And I think that there's going to be a lot of work for actors now because of the independent market rising in its credibility and rising in its, there's a lot of great and talented people, John being one of them, where they like to express themselves, and they like to put their movies out through independent
independent means, you mean?
Yeah, exactly. And
okay.
So I have been getting a lot of opportunities now in independent film and also in mainstream media as far as the auditions that have been going on, and that's been helpful. But it all started with independent, so that's going to be like the main love for me. Yeah,
sure. And I can completely understand that.
So.
You do. Well, and it's a family environment, wouldn't you say? I think that some people look at acting from a standpoint of, I'm an actor, I show up, I have my, call time, and I come there and I wait however long and I do my thing. I think and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a connection, sort of a kindred spirit sort of feeling that I gather, that you are in essence a family. John works with the same individuals. You work as a family. You encourage one another. You go to each other's events. You go to each other's festivals. You're integral to one another, I think, for the ultimate success of a project.
Yeah, I wish I could have the point of view from both mainstream and independent, but as far as my experience in the independent realm, it has been very, very family oriented, and there's just a lot of trust that is that you're able to have with your fellow coworkers and your directors and your producers. They are just a lot more understanding and a lot more humble, because they understand stretching that dollar like more than anybody could ever understand stretching a dollar. So I like the spirit. I love the spirit of independent films. I'm hoping that it doesn't change too much if I do begin to, dabble a little bit into mainstream. But I do think it's a family-oriented industry.
Oh, without a doubt whatsoever. And the other thing that I noticed too, like for instance, let's talk about this a little bit. To those, and oftentimes I gear my shows like yours in particular because people that are listening in might be contemplating getting into an industry like yours or learning things. So to those of us, not you and I, that are in this industry necessarily, but to the novice, for instance, We Remember, which is of course Colbeck's film. Acting in the capacity of a script supervisor. Tell people specifically how. Tell me, or rather, let me phrase the question right. As a script supervisor is compared to an actress versus a behind the camera, let's say you're directing, challenges. Talk to me about the challenges and the bonuses of being a supervisor versus having the weight of carrying a role on screen.
Oh, yeah, that's, being a script supervisor, the challenges were more so keeping up with the director and keeping up with the director's mind, especially the first time that I did it. I just wanted to make sure that I was on the same page as John, because you're basically recording all of his desires for the film. Every shot that was taken, you watch it yourself, and then you listen to what he wanted or how he liked it or what he saw. So that was the biggest challenge, was keeping up and making sure that I didn't make any mistakes that would like destroy the editor. But I think it was a little bit more relaxing than being on screen, simply because when you're on screen, you can't see yourself. Like, you don't feel like you're as in control. And there's like a sense of almost like hanging in midair by like a string. You really can't control it. But with script supervising, everything was very controlled. You just had to keep up, you know. So I liked it. I thought that if I were in front of the camera, it would be a little bit more heavy than being behind the camera.
Gotcha. That makes perfect sense as far as that goes. And now, obviously, we want to talk about We Remember just a little bit, of course. What's interesting I found about that story, and I've written about half of that review. I haven't finished it. What I found interesting is the setup of relationships in that movie. You have Cole and Dad, which is the primary relationship, of course. And then you have the relationship with Cole and his best friend. And then you have another dichotomy. One touches another, which all leads to the ultimate touching with the ultimate relationship. It's finding out about yourself and then finding out about yourself through the eyes of multiple different eyes. At least that's how I see the film. So I'm curious to ask, obviously I know it's been well received all over the place, for individuals that are listening in, and especially because this is, and I don't want to call it, and I know Cole, and we've talked about this, I don't like labels, so I never like to say, of course, this is a gay man, his father, et cetera, and the whole bit. But is it more fundamentally important, you think, when people are watching this film? Is it that it's a gay man who received final acceptance, or is it more about the relationship dichotomy? Because some people can't separate it, and the minute they know it's a gay man, it's a gay movie. You follow me?
Yeah.
So I just want you to talk completely. A little bit about what the audience should gravitate to, and also, are we going to be able to get access to at some point in time to be able to watch the movie, meaning people like myself or yourself that don't have the access we do to viewing?
Yeah, great. That's all a wonderful way to describe that film. It really, I think, of course, the LGBT community is going to find a kindred spirit in this film, because it's, you know, surrounding a gay guy who is trying to find acceptance and find something that he's been looking for. But I think I think what has made it become so successful in all these festivals around the world has been that basic, or that foundation of the film being that we're all, you know, we've all had some point in our time where we've wanted something from somebody, and whether it's forgiveness, whether it's acceptance, whether it's love or affection, you can find that in this simple short film. You can relate to it as no matter what position you're in, whether you're LGBT, whether you're, you know, Catholic, whether you're, you know, young person or older person. And I'm hoping that that's the story that people will find before they find, like, oh, this is, a gay man who is, this is a day in his life, type of thing.
Right, because that's so not the whole thing, but as you know, people automatically grab onto the label and they see this right away and that's that, so I think it's important. Do we have any news yet once it's going to get off the circuit, and is it going to be showing? Are we going to get a Vimeo? Will it be on Vimeo, YouTube? Is it going to be for distribution? Do we have any news yet? Just checking.
Right. So as far, I've heard a little bit about them looking up distributors, looking for distributors, and that's about the most that I've heard so far. But it's just been getting accepted in festival after festival after festival, and it's it's in Jakarta, Thailand now. And now it's about to play in Germany. So once we've exhausted it in the festival market, then we'll really be able to settle down and look for the perfect distributor so that it can go to as many people that could use this film as possible. And that's the whole goal.
Gotcha. Well, of course, obviously, as with most of these films, of course, I see some beautifully made films that never get distribution. It just disheartens me so much, which is why we both try, obviously, to support the indie effort so much. I want to switch gears a little bit because, obviously, actress isn't the only thing you do. So, obviously, shocker to all you single boys, if you take one peek at her, it's no surprise to me, of course, that you are a model, among other things. She has beautiful face, beautiful figure, takes good care of herself. So talk to me a little bit about these midnight workouts. Who the hell works out at midnight, okay? I'm up watching Terry Bradshaw, my little Sex in the City, drinking my wine. I'm like, girl standing there and she's about 90 pounds and her ass is in a gym at midnight. What's that all about? Who does that?
I love, I love being able to go to the gym and not have to wait for one of the machines or wait for the equipment. And sometimes I'll go to bed from 9 to 11 and wake up and go to the gym and then come back home because it's right down the street from me. But I do. I like to have my space when I work out. And, I'm not a billionaire yet, so I have to go to a public
No. I totally get what you're talking about. But I just thought that was so weird. I'm like, I drink Mountain Dew and I eat donuts and I don't work out. I lift wine. I lift a wine bottle. That's what we do. So I'm just like, now I totally get why she's got this figure in this face. Okay, so because you're newer and younger, and I, of course, am a little bit older, and I've done some modeling. It's not my favorite thing. And since you're younger, I want to ask this. And, again, this is to the girls in the audience that are listening. Talk to me about your take on, there are some women that come on my show that have done modeling that are like, oh, my God, I'm getting yelled at, and I was put in check because I gained weight, lost weight, because I didn't look this way. I think that the focus has been taken off of the beauty of the model and taken specifically into account now figure, face, and just how much of it we can exploit. And I know that makes it sound bad, but I think that there's a lot of pressure for young women to look much older and to kind of cake on that makeup and be something they're not. So maybe you can talk a little bit about your experience in the modeling world, and if folks want to check out your work from that component, where do they go to do so?
Oh, well, so I work with a very, very great agency, a print commercial agency called Bicoastal, and my agent her name is Melissa. She's a lovely woman, and she is a retired model. So I think having her empathy on all of her model's side has been very helpful in our interaction with the modeling industry. But yes, there's a lot of exploitation in the modeling industry always, because at the end of the day, no matter what modeling you're doing, behind it are dollar signs that are, the client is hoping that you're going to bring more money to them. And so they can't help but be exploitive. I've been on, sets where the directors are absolutely awful, push you and grab you and set you this way and set you that way, and you literally turn into a mannequin right before your own eyes.
I know, right?
But, yeah, but there are also I've been working a lot with this company called Laundry Service, and it's a funny name.
Yes.
I know. And it's not even about laundry at all. They just call themselves Laundry Service. But
really?
They are so nice. Yeah. really funny. But the people that work there are just very kind. They're very understanding. There's a huge mix of different people. Like, it's very diverse. So everyone is very empathetic to something, whether it be to, you being small or you being large or you being, this way or that way. Everyone's empathetic. Someone is empathetic for it. And they are just very understanding and very laid back. And so I've been working with them a lot, and it's been awesome. And, now I kind of love it a lot more than when I started and I was doing, campaigns with clients that kind of were very strict.
I gotcha. Well, and of course, too, are there things as a younger woman that you do that kind of accentuate things? Like, for instance, I'm older, so obviously I have to use different kinds of foundation, different kinds of makeup. It's different for me, obviously, to prep. For you, well, I ain't going to lie about it, honey, okay? My ass is getting bigger. The boobs are still the same. Listen to me. Well, you can tell we're on internet radio. I can say that. But, and I get that. I'm an older woman, and that's fine. But sometimes, nowadays, it can be different. I mean, do you have a regimen, like you have a particular diet, you work out this many times? How do you keep you the best you? And not necessarily maybe just for modeling, but just as acting, too, because that's another thing.
Oh, I love that. I love that question. I love it so much because I'm very passionate about my diet. I have I think that's where it kind of starts. That's like the very first thing that has helped me keep myself where I want it to be. I don't eat. The best way I describe it is I'm a pescatarian, so I don't eat anything that breathes through lungs. And that's just the easiest way to kind of. But yeah,
all
so
right, then.
I will eat. I know, right? Because some people will be like, "Oh, you eat fish? Does that mean you eat whales and dolphins?" No, absolutely not. I do not eat anything that needs to breathe air through lungs. So that's the first thing. I make sure I have a very balanced diet. I like to eat all my veggies, and if I don't get my veggies in a day, I take a supplement to make up for the vitamins and minerals that I haven't received. And I try to take on what they call the European diet, where you eat a huge meal in the morning, you eat kind of a good portion-sized meal in the middle of the day for lunch, and then in the evening you eat like a light meal, like a soup and like a small sandwich or something like that. So that's been like it's been very helpful and useful, especially living in a city. There's a lot of pollution in New York, and I noticed when I first came here, oh my God, yeah, when I first came here, my skin just like rebelled against me. It was just like, I hate this. What is this? I can't breathe. So I used to get a lot of breakouts, but now, if I get my 70 ounces of water every day, I'm good.
She's still killing me. It's ridiculous. You sound like my daughter. Like, she's the most health cat. She's just like, I like to eat, Mom, but I'm really taking care of myself. And all I'm thinking is, seriously, how do you function like that? I think it's abnormal. I mean, I think it's adorable because it works very well for you. And that's a great, actually for you, for being a New Yorker and young like that, it's a really, really great attitude to have, actually. It's very healthy for you. And not only that, like you're saying, let's say, for instance, you have to model one day and then the next week you're being cast for a role. People don't realize it's not just how you act physically. It's how you look, what your appearance is, what you bring to the table. You know what I mean? People don't realize that.
Yeah.
So it is vital, that you're taking care of that. Which brings us to my next question, because this cracked me up. So on her bio, it says the word nutritionist. And I'm just like, oh, my God, you couldn't pay me to visit one of those people. Again, I'm old, and I'm set in my ways, so I'm like, if I'm fat, that's your problem, not mine. But you know what I'm saying. So, okay, so I'm going to guess that a nutritionist makes me eat healthy food and work out and do everything that I hate. But obviously, I'm guessing that somewhere along the line, being health conscious and nutrition, from a nutritional standpoint, is very important to you for a reason. I'm guessing it might just be outside of just your professional life. There must be some reason, or is this just something that? Okay.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. It's something I'm very, very passionate about. I started studying nutrition about 5 years ago, and just realizing how amazing the human body is, I wanted to become the best that I could be. And I think you're definitely right. It does come from outside of the career. Like, when I being younger, there was like a lot of times where I ate like very terrible foods and like the worst type of foods, like ramen every day, and like it's just and so I think that really affects you inside out, what you eat.
Sure.
And I tried it I watched a couple documentaries first. I think that's how a lot of people who change their diet start.
Sure.
And I watched a couple of documentaries, and I actually have a friend, a very close friend of mine, whose mother has cancer, and I just every day that I would be with her, it would just break my heart, because I'd be like, I wonder what could stop this, like what could help, and how can you I wanted my friend to always like be healthy, and I wanted to make sure, like, how can I keep my friends and my family safe? And so when someone introduced nutrition to me, I studied to be a pet nutritionist through like an 8-month course to get certified in that, and I was helping pets, and like I that was for a really long time. But then I started going into human nutrition, and like once I changed my diet, there was like an energy that woke out of nowhere. It was just like you have endless amounts of energy, and that was like very important in this career, because you have a lot of bad energy around you. You have a lot of great energy, but you have a lot of weird energy. So you really have to keep your own energy to at a certain level. And that was like the biggest thing. Once I realized that I felt so different, that was what made my passion just go into overdrive. And I try and help a lot of people. I can't really work with too many clients now because I'm very busy. As far as like things that have been happening, I don't know. Yeah, thank God I can say that. I definitely couldn't say that like a year ago. Yeah, it's very important to me, and I want to eventually be able to like do vlogs and do recipe books and things like that to show people like you can be healthy and eat really amazing food. And I know people say that and they give you like, cardboard and lettuce.
Right.
And they're like, see, it's delicious.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I come from, I know, right? But I come from a Caribbean background. Exactly.
Sure.
Coming from a Caribbean background, I've been able to integrate Caribbean recipes with very healthy foods, and that's been amazing for me, because it's just like it tastes. You don't realize you're eating healthy, and that's what I want to get out to people. Is like there's a way to get to the point where you don't even realize you're eating very healthy foods.
Yeah, and doesn't that encourage all of us to put our wine down? No, but nice try. I appreciate that, though. So I was just curious about that. Yeah, and I agree with you. I mean, for as much smart talk as I say, and obviously as we all age and get older, there's so many benefits to so many different things. And sometimes, a lot of times, those toxins are found in foods. And it's important that we do stay conscious at least and try to make somewhat of an effort to be health conscious for obvious reasons, certainly. And with you being young, of course, I would be like, okay, whatever. Because first of all, you're like 4 foot tall. Trust me, she's 5'2", okay? The child doesn't even have any height to her. I mean, you're like a midget down to the ground, which I think is funny. Does that help or does that hurt? And I'm serious about that one, because I wonder about that. Like, because you're so small, most of the time models have to be like 5'7", 5'8". Sometimes for a role, you could get to. I mean, do you find that it ever harms you? Is it a potential hazard because of? Okay.
I do. No one's ever really quite told me like, hey, your height is like crappy. So you can't get this job. But I definitely know that my height plays a role, especially in modeling. Like I can't do runway to save my life because I'm so close to the ground. And there are a lot of clothing companies will also, like, even though it's print, they still would prefer a taller model because they make their clothes to fit tall women. And so there has been some setbacks, but I think that as far as affecting like my health or having to do extra because I'm small, so smaller people tend to grow wide since they don't grow up. I haven't noticed it yet. I haven't. I will let you know in about 10 years if it's been like a struggle. It might, but so far it's been pretty great. Definitely can fit in a lot of places.
Well, and I sat there and I thought to myself, yeah, that's got to be a little weird, you know what I mean? Because being small, and obviously, of course, I don't want to say discriminatory, but it shouldn't be that way. I mean, sometimes the perfect person to be cast is someone that's smaller. You know what I mean? Like Willy Wonka, for instance. Oh my God, I mean,
like
okay, I'm not going to pick on your height. Like Willy Wonka, of course. Okay, there you go. So we're going to talk about some personal things here. First of all my younger single fans want to know the obvious question, which is, she's a model and an actress. Does she have a boyfriend? And now she's on the spot.
And now I'm on the spot. Oh, I am seeing somebody right now. And
boys, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Oh, we're still. He knows that I'm a very, very. I like to focus on my career. So if you're asking, am I focused on a relationship? No, I'm not focused on a relationship.
Okay.
My number one priority is my career. And boys, if you want to appeal to me, then appeal to my career first. And you never
Amen to that one, sister. That's exactly right. I agree 150%. But to you boys that are listening, that means you're kind of crap a lot because she's seen someone, which is fine. Okay, couple things we know about you. First of all, how was your birthday? Because she just had a birthday. She's not 30 yet, not even close. So what did we do for our big birthday?
Well, I actually, I was in Poland for the past 2 weeks. Yeah, it was amazing. But I came back right on my birthday, right on the day of my birthday. I came in at 6:30 a.m. So I did, go out to the city and I got some drinks. I had dinner and I went to see a movie and I fell asleep throughout the whole movie.
Oh my God!
So I was really tired on my birthday.
I think you need a rain check. We're just going to redo my birthday next month because I just wasn't up for that. Thank you very much.
Exactly. Exactly.
My question, since you brought it up, of course, about your Poland trip because you were just there, that's an interesting place to pick. So I know I wouldn't pick that. So because I'd pick Italy, of course, because I'm down with those Italians. Tattooed Italian biker in heaven. There you go. But I'm not a Poland girl. So since I've never done that, what's the appeal to visiting for 2 weeks? I mean, what drew you there?
Great question. It is very random. A lot of people said the same thing. They were like, "Why are you going to Poland? What's in Poland?" I have an older relative who went over there about a year ago. She went over there and was in the service, and she came back and she's like, I love it there. It's so much more than people around the world think. And so she told us, you're going to go somewhere to visit Poland. I stopped in Germany, and I was in Frankfurt for about a couple of days, and that was amazing. But then I went to Poland, and I completely agree. It's Poland. Well, one thing I should say is that Polish people are seriously the kindest people ever. They are just so honest. Yes, it's probably not shocking, but it's really just one of those fun facts that people just wouldn't know. I think that the country is very religious. They follow Catholicism very seriously there.
Sure.
So they're very honest people, and they're very just I just met so many kind people. I would be struggling with my bags, and 7 people would come up and be like, please, help, let me help you. And that doesn't really happen over here too much. And there's just very courteous people, very respectful people, very mature. There was a lot of people that I met that were 20 years old and just extremely mature for their age. And it was great. I had a beautiful time. It was just the country has so much history there. I actually visited a concentration camp, Auschwitz.
Oh, my gosh.
And, yeah,
oh my.
I did it. I went for it. And it was just a very surreal experience. It was just knowing that so much had happened in the area that I was incredible. It was like very rich history. And it wasn't only Auschwitz. Sure. It was like I went to their mine. They had salt mines in Poland that are like 800 years old. Yeah. Oh, they were gorgeous. It was just incredible. And things in Poland are, a little bit cheaper for people coming from the U.S. because our $1 is 3.8 of their dollars. So I was living.
Oh my God! Wow. She's having her fun little time over there with all them little people. I don't know, are Polish people little too?
They're really tall, actually. It made me feel kind of
Are they really? I can imagine.
Yeah,
oh, my goodness
everyone's very tall. Yeah, they eat healthy. Their diets are very healthy over there. Go figure. It is just very delicious food and very, natural organic food is just what their normal food is. So it was great. I loved every bit of that country, and I'm hoping to go back in the future. But I do have to go to Italy. I have to go to Father Italy.
Who doesn't want to go to Italy? Exactly. That's exactly right. Everything is beautiful there. The food, the culture, the people. Yes. My future husband might be there. I kept thinking it was New York. Now I'm thinking maybe it's not New York. We'll have to see. But no, definitely. And since we already know about our midnight workouts, I'll ask the obvious question. One of the other loves that you have that's very dear to you, of course, is cooking. So here's my question to you, little Miss Nutrition Girl, because I'm going to bet that when she's cooking at home, it ain't all healthy. But just a guess. Let's just try. So tell me your top 3 things that you like to cook. So let's say all of us come over to Tamara's house one night. What's she making us?
All right. So number 1, which is the easiest thing I can think of, there are these natural ramen, because I grew up on bad ramen, but I still have a love for it. There's this Korean natural ramen that's called paldo. And I like to take that. I throw it into a pot, obviously, and I throw in a lot of vegetables. So I'll put in some celery, I'll put in some carrots, and I like to put in beans, to add protein. And sometimes I'll, put a tuna in there or shrimp, but most of the time I do leave it vegetarian because it's just easier.
Sure.
And that's one thing.
Okay.
And you said 3, right?
I said 3.
You said 3? Did you say 3?
I did say 3. If you want to do 2, you can do 2, and any of them including wine. This way I know if I can come over. Sorry.
Oh, I love
to throw that out there.
I love cooking with wine. I love cooking with wine, especially.
Thank you.
Exactly, especially Pinot Grigio. One thing that I do like to cook with wine is it's actually tuna. It's a brown stew tuna stir fry. It sounds really complicated, but it basically is it's like lemon tuna that you throw in with some Caribbean ingredients like browning sauce, and you throw in some thyme, and you throw in some ginger, and put in some carrots and potatoes, and then you make white rice on the side, and that together is just amazing. It's another favorite.
Yummy, 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 yummy. My God, we're all going to her house. That's all I'm saying. She can just quit acting right now and just cook for a living. We'll get her a little show. It'll be absolutely awesome. Just amazing. That's awesome. Now, just a little fun fact for you. We all want to know why you are a 4th of July hater. I was reading your post, and she's like, why? I'm never going to have a good 4th of July. And I'm like, she's hating on 4th of July, folks. What up? What's with you and the 4th of July thing?
I don't remember that. I don't remember. Wait,
my job is to know stuff like that.
I know.
It's on your Facebook thing because I creeped on you. And you were like, and this was years ago, because you were like, I'm never going to have a good 4th of July. Literally, never. Which is I'm so pinpointing her when I get her on air, what's your deal? How do you not like 4th of July? Everyone likes 4th of July. There's fireworks and stuff.
I think what I should have probably said is New York 4th of July. I can dig a Pennsylvanian 4th of July where there's just like not a lot of people that go to one area. But me, I am not a crowd person. Believe it or not, I do not like crowds.
Really?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, if you can call it a phobia, then that's like one of my phobias. I hate crowds.
Oh my God.
And so,
did you hear that? She's an actress who hates crowds. An actress.
I love people. I just don't
saying.
like them all concentrated in one area.
Director, actress, model who doesn't like crowds. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Good job you
New
picked.
York
Yeah,
has the
makes
craziest.
sense.
I know, right? It's
Sure.
it's one of those things you have to make life
Getting a little weird.
complicated.
She's a little weird for 20-something. John, are you hearing this? I think she's losing it. A little overworking here. But no, I get what you're saying. Some people do that all the time. Like, I totally know what you mean. I do not like my picture taken, but of course I'm on a red carpet, so of course you take a job where you're going to be on a red carpet, which is silly, but I know what you're talking about, and I do. Well, maybe you should spend 4th of July in New Jersey or some other borough in New York City, apparently, because it's not working for you. Or have your boyfriend take you somewhere.
New York New York is just their 4th of July, their New Year's, and like all the holidays, they are just insane. Like there's just people everywhere, and I, actually, now that I think about it, there was a 4th of July, and maybe I wrote this when when this happened, but I was walking down the street and down this one particular block before I made it to the subway, there was literally 5 different people that threw up in my path as I was walking. And I was so, it was like amazing that the type of coordination that these people, I swear they coordinated, because I'm just walking and one guy throws up to my left, then the girl on my right throws up right afterwards, and then like another girl on my left threw up, and I'm just like, oh my God. And when I got to the subway, I realized that all of it splattered everywhere over me. And from there, I definitely knew I did not like the 4th of July, and I was like very upset being in New York for the 4th of July. So that might have been when I wrote it. But things like that happen all the time here.
And I would know that. I do know that. But still, I know what you're talking about. But you know what? You can build your own memories.
But I love Independence Day. Yeah, exactly. And I love the whole concept of 4th of July. I love the history behind it. I just don't like it in New York.
So here's a thought. Maybe for this coming 4th of July, you should have yourself and a group of friends, or maybe you and John, because John would like this. This is so funny. You could take Tamara out, and she could go to a musical concert, let's say. And here's what I pictured. It would be a half night of Bob Marley and a half night of Mozart. And how funny is this? Because she loves both of them. I found that so funny because she seems so influenced by Bob Marley, and then turn around and she's like, oh, I love Mozart. And I'm like, do you have any idea how oxymoronish that is? Yes, I love classical, and here, let's have some ganja. It was too funny. I was like, oh, my God, I have to ask her about this. So I'm curious. Is it their mentality? Is their sentiment? Is it the music itself that moves you? What is it about these people that are influential to you? Because I like both, obviously. My son likes Bob Marley. I'm a huge Mozart fan. I write to Mozart all the time, actually. So I just find that to be kind of cool for somebody who's in their 20s. Do you have an appreciation for classical music? The Bob Marley's kind of a given, but I'm like, yeah, Mozart, interesting. Why?
Well, I had to take a few music classes when I was younger, and from there they always, put the Bachs and the Mozarts and everybody that is the classics to everything that people know about music. I like about the common ground I can see between Bob Marley and someone like Mozart is that they have a creative spirit to them that is boundless. It goes so deep, and you can tell that even with what you're hearing, there's so much more to them, and the mystery behind that is enticing to me. It's like I love what people can bring forward in their creative and their creative aspect to themselves, but I also love what I can't see. And it's kind of weird. It's hard to explain. I guess I don't know if I explained that right, but I like that both of them seem to have a world that you just will never be able to see, and there's something very intriguing about that.
Oh, I agree with you 150% about that. That's very true, and I don't think people always appreciate some of the classical music, so I think that's impressive. Definitely, without a doubt. Now, you were a native of Philly, so I was curious just to ask, obviously Philly is relatively close to New York City. When did you make the jump from one to another? And well, I'm sure I can answer this, but tell the listening audience, the transition between Philly and New York City. Is it that dramatic? Because honestly, to me, it seems like Philly is just another version of New York City, only smaller.
Yeah, that's actually a good way to phrase Philly, because it is kind of like, it definitely is kind of a miniature New York, but with like a lot less people and a lot less infrastructure. I mean, there's the technology in New York is you can only compare it overseas in Asia, but it did feel like I was going to another planet. And when I first came to New York, everything was just like, it was like what I knew but on steroids. And
alrighty then.
It was yeah, it was just like a circus. Like everything was just, very busy, very loud, very festive, very angry, like all the things that you can think of in an emotion. The city had it, and it was difficult because, Philadelphians, I think, tend to be very introverted on average.
Sure.
They definitely don't, go out of their way to express themselves openly on their sleeves. So to see this was just a huge, slap of reality of how interesting people can be. But that might have been, one of the most difficult things is encountering so many different characters that I've never encountered before, and dealing with those characters. And some of those characters were not very nice.
Oh, I imagine. Oh, my goodness. Okay.
But it was great, though. It was a great experience.
Oh, I imagine so, definitely. Okay, well, now we want to switch gears a little bit, because one of the things that I love more so than a lot of things is theater. I'm just a huge fan of theater. And I know that you've done some work, a couple different Shakespeare's, Hamlet, of course, Midsummer Night Dream. Midnight Summer Dream. Say that again for me. Midnight Summer's Dream. I knew I'd get it right. And, of course, Crazy for You, just an example. I noticed that you did a lot of work at the Upper Darby Theater. Now, was that relative because of location, or was that a choice you made? And more importantly, explain this to me, because I ask everybody who comes on. I've been a writer for 20 years. I don't get Shakespeare. I just don't get it, damn it. I don't get it. I'm never going to get it. It's too hard, okay? And yet all you people are off running around, performing it, playing it, learning it. What the heck? Am I missing the memo here? Because I don't get it. The stuff's hard, okay?
Yeah. I took a Shakespearean class, and that allowed me to first get my introduction to Shakespeare. Upper Darby was just, I did a lot of things because of location. I grew up in Upper Darby, and they have a very excellent, or at least they had, I mean, I think they still have it, but they have an excellent theater program where, they've blossomed a lot of actors, including Tina Fey. She also came from that theater, from my same high school, and from that same theater program. And so I was in the right place, but I just happened to be there at the right time. And that's where I got a lot of my push into theater, because there's no film in Philadelphia. So really all you can do is theater. And as far as Shakespeare, yes, Shakespeare is very difficult. And the way that I was able to cope with trying to understand it was basically it's normal words, but exaggerated 10 times more.
Well, right, and then you ever read it and you're like, what? You're like, what? What does that mean exactly? I'm like, what? And then I read it 7 more times, and I'm still like, what? And they're like, isn't it such classic literature? No, frankly, I don't get it. Okay, and I know I'm not an idiot, but it's like, you know what I'm saying, right? You end up feeling like an idiot because you don't understand it. But it's like, oh, this is great to play and great to read. Not really. Don't get it. Maybe some booze will help. Well, that's why I keep asking people. I'm like, really? Do you get it? Because I'm like, I don't get it. Okay, good. All right, well, wonderful.
It took
Now,
me a while.
and now you're probably going to be too busy to return to the theater, or do you have that? It seems as though the trend is at some point in time people kind of gravitate back to the theater at some point, or do you just find yourself thinking TV, movie, boom, that's it?
Well, I did want to focus on film and television, but
Sure.
lately I've been working with Vinny Pastore, and
Yep.
he was one of the characters from The Sopranos for people who
Yeah.
don't recognize the name, but he does a lot of theater. He's one of those actors that makes sure that he goes back into where he came from, which was
Right.
the theater. And so I've been assisting him and learning, the trades of directing for theater, and I definitely think it's very interesting and very intriguing. It's been years since I've been in theater or worked with theater, so I do think that I'm going to want to go back and forth between film and theater, just because
Sure.
the actors in theater are they inspire like no other actor can, because they're doing it for nothing, one, and also
Right.
they find the energy to bring the reality that they see from the script. They have the energy to bring it to themselves and bring it into this theater,
Sure.
which is just like a stage and props. And I just think that there's something very magical about that. Is just being able to,
I agree.
make me feel like I'm not where I am, even though like I'm physically there.
No, and that's a cool feeling to have. I know exactly what you're talking about. I do. Now, I want to switch gears a little bit, so we'll talk about movies and television last, because, of course, those are two big things that you have done. American Fango, I know you're directors, I should say, and I have not screened it yet, and I'm very excited to. So tell the folks a little bit about your participation in that movie. Kind of summarize a little bit what we can expect out of there. Another all-star cast, obviously, and such. And do you happen to know when it might be showing again, or is it showing again, or what's the status of that?
Oh yeah, American Fango. I think that the movie is absolutely lovely. The director is Gabriele Altobelli, and he is great. He's just so raunchy. He's like he doesn't like to hold back what he wants to get across, and I like that a lot. The main actor in that film, Brando Bonavere, he's
Right.
just this charming, gorgeous guy who is like this Italian who is coming to America and gets bombarded by the American spirit. And it's a great film. The film is currently in festivals right now. It's going through the circuit, but they are trying to move it to distribution quickly because it is a great film. It doesn't even really need that many festivals to praise it, because it's just a really charming film. And hopefully that happens very soon. But, Gabriel is a very talented director, and he's learned from the best, John Gallagher.
Oh, well, John Gallagher.
Exactly. You see a lot of that in his film, so I'm very excited to see where American Fango goes and to see what comes from the success of American Fango.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Now, is it having screenings? Is it going through the festival circuit? Do we know at this point?
There was one screening that the
Right.
cast was invited to, and producers. And when I went to that, my participation. Really, I didn't really have that much participation in that film. It was like one of those things where I kind of just like tagged along, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to do like a small, bit part on this?" And I was just like, "Yeah, sure." Like it'd be great. But right now it's currently in festivals. The last I heard, it was in a festival in Canada. So that just started, and I believe it's going to go into the festival market.
But we are not sure when yet. Is
But
my
we're
guess.
not
Okay,
sure
that's
when.
kind of
No
what
one.
I
Yeah,
thought.
I think that it's definitely moving to distribution soon, though.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, on the flip side of the fence, of course, television. We have 3 different ones, or actually 4 different ones. I know you're involved with the HBO series Girls, and, of course, the television series The Mysteries of Laura, Math Warriors. And I saw a notation about Gossip Girl, so I was curious about that. Did you spend some time on the Gossip Girl set as well?
I did. That was I had a part where I was a dancer, so that was a special ability role where we had to go in as dancers and we had to show how well we can waltz, and so I made it through that. Yeah, and I got like a debutante princess role, and that was just absolutely fun. That was just like the greatest experience. It was very cute.
Sure.
But yeah, that was my experience with girls, and it's great.
I imagine so. Now, because you do both the television side of things and the movie side of things, one of the things that I like to ask about is this, your experience, because some actors that have come on the show have talked to me and they're like, you know what, people need to understand on the TV set, like for instance, you can get a 6 a.m. call and you're standing around until, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, et cetera, till you get called. Versus film seems to be a lot more orchestrated, meaning that everybody gets here, we're going to set up shot 1, shot 2. I mean, there's still the so in terms of routine and regularity, do you lean towards more the movie side of things or the television side of things?
Well, on both television and film sets, you will have moments where you are waiting around forever, absolutely. And I've seen it with both countless amount of times. So they're very similar when you are shooting it. It's not until the editor gets a hold of it that it starts to become a TV versus film. But I love film. Film has always been like the bloom of my dream. It was there in the beginning, and I'm always going to love film. But television is just what's more like in right now. People want to fall in love with characters, and they want to become more involved with characters. So I think that though I love film with a passion, I will definitely do television, just to at least, if not to establish myself, to, get myself out there where it's a better chance of success rather than a film where it's like someone can fall in love with you for like that hour and then not care because you're not going to come on next week. So yeah, television is, I can see myself probably going into television more than anything else.
My gosh. Well, and you're short, so that works well. Had to throw that chart out there to any casting directors and other individuals that are looking for someone in television or film. Tamara does Oompa Loompa. Just throwing that out there. Had to do that. Now, the last thing that we want to cover, of course, is the upcoming 2 things. I know that Sarah Q is one of the projects that we want to talk about, and of course, Heavy Shadows. So talk to the audience about how you got involved in those, when they're coming, what your roles are, because as I understand that, these are more lead role capacities for you.
Yes. So these are some very great projects that have received great funding, just like incredible funding. I could have never imagined this being like one of the beginnings of my leading roles. But so as far as Sarah Q, which will be the first film that we're going to work on, that is a great quirky script. It's a quirky story about what a girl can go through if she's coming from a small town and moving to the city to go after being an actress. And it really hits it really just hits the head. It really does. It's so specific that I'm like, are these coming from stories that I've told? But then I talked to like another girl that has read it, or one of the other actresses that have read it, and they're like, I swear this is like someone heard my story or heard something. So I'm glad that it's gonna be felt and related to by a lot of females that watch it, and maybe even some males that watch it. But it's a great script, so we're going to see where it goes. We're currently, we've got most of the cast. We just have to get production roll in for that.
Sure. I got you. Yeah. Which is kind of what I figured. Okay, and then Heavy Shadows?
And Heavy Shadows, an even bigger budget project. It's a beautiful story. It kind of is like is kind of like in the spirit of Stand By Me type of story, where you've got a group of kids that are struggling with with obesity, and it just goes through like their life going to a fat camp, and it goes through like their stories individually of how they struggled, and then it goes into their adulthood, like how that affected their future. It's a very beautiful story. It's very funny. It's quirky as well, and I think it's going to be a tearjerker. It really will be. But as far as both, I guess I didn't really describe my part in both of them. In Sarah Q, I have this part of a girl who is already a seasoned veteran in New York and knows all the obstacles that you're going to go through and knows all the tricks that you're going to hear and encounter. So I'm basically, becoming friends with the girl that comes for the first time to live in New York.
Okay.
And I have like a partner in crime in this. We just constantly are just like, you're so naive and all this, and you're so dumb, and we're kind of bullies. We're a little bit of like some radical feminist bullies. So
wow.
That's going to be fun. Yeah, I know, because it's really the opposite of my personality. Like, I'm a very,
passive,
quiet, yeah. So that's going to be fun. But in Heavy Shadows, I am I'm playing like a love interest of one of the leads, and I get to be the sweet girl in that, so I'm excited.
Aww.
That won't be too much of a
how
stretch.
sweet that is. No, it won't be a stretch at all, as a matter of fact. Definitely, without a doubt. So we have three things left to do, and then I will let you go because I know that you have a commitment that you have with Mr. Gallagher today. Is that not right? You're going to meet our pal today?
Yes. Yeah,
oh my God, I'm so jealous.
A tribute.
So jealous.
Yeah, well, it's actually, it's one of those, it's going to be a very bittersweet event because it's a memorial for someone who passed that is referred to as the mayor, the unclaimed mayor of Little Italy. His name was Cha Cha.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're going, it's a tribute to him, and a lot of filmmakers and a lot of actors who have been involved with him somehow, are going to be there just celebrating him and celebrating his life. So that's going to be fun.
It's a life celebration, so that's awesome. I mean, it's not good, but I understand exactly what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first thing is I want to just go through the different places where people can find you. Obviously, of course, she has a Facebook personal page, and it's Tamara and it's Jones, not the Scouts, so just Tamara and then Jones, of course.
Yeah,
she, of course, has an IMDb.
Or something like that.
Right. IMDb profile. And, of course, obviously, she's on Instagram. I found TJX101. Is that correct? That's your logo for Instagram?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I thought. I did not find you on Twitter, so I want to you're not on Twitter,
is that correct?
Twitter. What's happening?
I am not.
You are an actor now. That's your job. You have to go out. I mean, don't you know they all do it? They're all out there because, of course, I follow all of them, and I'm like, see, they're all out there, and they're tweeting their little stuff, although I think tweeting's weird. I'm kind of like, I just tweeted. Don't know what the hell that is, but I just tweeted. It's great. But you should tweet. So get a Twitter. She doesn't have a Twitter.
I keep myself from it because I know that, like, you just gave me a platform where I'm just going to say, I just get to say what I want. I'm going to say a lot of goofy things, and people are like, oh,
thank you. That's exactly right. And you know what? That's why I like my show so much, because I'm like, you can come on and say whatever the heck you want. I'm not screened or censored or whatever. And, sometimes I'm drinking and then it makes it more lively. Not yet, but I had thought about it, but that's okay. But no, I mean, it's so neat to have a platform to be able to share that kind of stuff. So, yeah, but you should do the Twitter thing, because then they start yelling at you if you don't. Like, oh, my God, it's so awful. And I don't want to forget, of course, to mention, shameless promotion, Colbeck. We remember openfactory.nyc. John Gallagher's got this thing called 305 okay, try this again, 305mediagroup.org. And we don't want to forget about my favorite person in the whole wide world besides John Gallagher, which is Steve Stanulus. You can find him on Facebook, and he also now has that brand new spanking page for Stanulus Productions. And oh, isn't that pretty? It's got the little networker thing on there. I'm like, oh, my gosh, I'm so proud of my boys. Oh, my gosh, I'm just so proud of them. I can't stand it. Okay. Now, because you haven't been on my show before, you may not know this, but this is the very end, which means I get to tell my guests what I think of them. Now, John Gallagher was on my show for 2 hours, and then I had to tell him. So imagine the build-up to that one. See, now you're a little easier because you're little Tamara, so this will be a little bit easier. And I do this more so not just for you, but for the guests to know my impressions of you. And, of course, hopefully they'll become a fan and start to follow your work and all that good stuff. So we'll see. So these are my impressions of little Tamara. Cute little Tamara from the moment I got introduced by John Gallagher. Moment I walk into this place, and then I'm wandering around, there's John Gallagher. He says, I got this person you got to meet. And what's ironic about that is that John Gallagher has done this to me a repeated number of times. And the reason why it's so special to me and why those people become so special to me is because every single one of them is at the very top of their game. They're very kind, very sweet, very loving, very passionate artists. People that have a goal and a dream in mind, and they chase after it, whether they're younger, whether they're older. So he brings me the best. So anytime I know that he refers or recommends somebody, I know that you must be top of the line. First thing I noticed about her, she was dainty and delightful and humorous and cute. She's very, very timid, very, very cute, very open and very honest about meeting someone. She holds no bones to say, I'm not the biggest deal in the room. She's very humble when it comes to talking about her experiences with some of the more eclectic people in the business who've been around for a long time. She is a learner of things, if you will. I've seen some of her performances, and I've seen how she poises and carries herself. What I find unique and interesting about you is that I don't think you recognize that the camera recognizes you more than you recognize it, which means you gravitate to that your face gravitates to that, and it catches you in such a way that you might not notice. It's a way that kind of makes your face shine and makes your soul shine from the inside out. You're very, very good at what you do, and you're very humble. And I like that because usually young actors who start that way stay that way, which is very important. You surrounded yourself with that family of film, so to speak. I call it the film family, and one of the best families in town, actually. And one of the things that I'm most excited about is that you're climbing the ladder at a very young age, and you're establishing yourself not in one medium but in multiple ones, which is very vital and very important. So I have to say I am sorry that it's taken me so long to bring you onto my show. I am so excited at the opportunity to come and see you at another film festival or meet you in person again another time. If nothing else, just to eat your cooking and to drink your wine and to go not work out at midnight as I stand there and watch you work out or whatever have you. But the bottom line is I'm so very blessed because you agreed to come and talk to me for a little over an hour. I think you're awesome. You got to get me first before you got Gallagher, which says something. Because I'd go right to Gallagher. I'd be like, see ya. And she's like, I get to do the show. So I'm like, awesome. So hopefully you've enjoyed your time as long as it took us. But you finally got here. And certainly do not be a stranger. Come back anytime you want. Certainly come or invite me to anything that you have, et cetera. And I'd be more than happy to be your media whore, so to speak, as I call myself lately. I'm just a media whore in the best possible way. But no. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you so much. Yes.
It's been great. It's been absolutely lovely. And yes, definitely keep me posted. And just to let you know and your fans know, about an hour after this show gets done, it's archived, so anybody can go back and listen to it, of course. And so you'll be immortalized literally forever and ever and ever. But like I said, don't be a stranger. Please come back and promote your projects anytime.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for that warm ending. You are the kindest person, and I love meeting people that John introduces me to. I always fall in love with them, and I have fallen in love with you, Cindy. So
oh, my God, she's fallen in love with me.
I've fallen in love with Cindy.
Please, you have one job to do for me today, if I could graciously ask you, and that is, would you please give a hug to my dear friend John from me and let him know that I miss him very, very much. And I have 2 old movies to give him the next time I come to New York, unless you heard that.
Oh,
you know myself. I miss you, but you can hug him for me, and hopefully I will be there soon, and I'll keep you guys posted. Now go do what you have to do, and I'm going to sign off and tell everybody again how wonderful you are.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, dear. Good luck today.
All right. You take care.
Bye-bye. Is she amazing or what? I'm telling you right now, it's a John Gallagher. It's a John Gallagher water. He brings me everybody. So, once again, Tamara Skylar is Skylar. The last name is Jones. Facebook profile, which is personal, which is Tamara Jones. She has her IMDb profile. Instagram is TJX101. I will keep you guys posted if I pester her long enough to be able to establish a Twitter account. And then, of course, to see some of her works in production, whether it's script supervisor, acting, front or behind the camera, which would be Colbeck's production is openfactory.nyc. John Gallagher, which has numerous amounts of productions that her and many of my other friends are in, which is the 305mediagroup.org. My big thanks to Tamara to coordinating her time to be able to come on the show. Even bigger thanks, in case he doesn't know already. John, you're one of my favorite people in New York City. My heart misses you every time I'm not there, and I do hope this time around I'll be able to see you, and I hope you're well. So again, folks, I want to remind everybody tomorrow, Sam Spearon is coming on the show. I will go ahead and post the information tomorrow in terms of he has a stage name, and of course he's a plastic surgeon from Chicago, Illinois. We're going to be talking about his practice. We're going to be talking about all of his billboard hits, his charity ventures, and what his next step will be for the Christmas holiday. And then September 9th, Rashid Stevens, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, both actor, production company owner, as well as a stand-up comedian. And he is based in L.A. And again, thanks to Josh Mitchell, my publicist, for organizing those two. All right, folks, I'm off the air. I've got about 18 hours of work and 3 hours of time. You guys enjoy your rainy evening, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.
What you doing?
Ran out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. By singing dog. By goal.
I pronounce you.
By wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.